This is where I pretend I know what I'm doing after following those two. Hello, everyone. Welcome to my talk on using show command to create command graphical user interfaces. A little bit about me, if I can get this slideshow to work. Here we go. My name is Cory Knox. My job title is Productivity Technologist, which is a fancy way of saying desk-side support. I support phone systems, computers, all that sort of thing. I'm on GitHub and Twitch as Corbob, and I'm on Twitter as at Cory Knox. Oh, and yeah, apparently the title still says Stevie. I should probably see. I know what I'm doing. Somewhere. Set title. There we go. I think I got everything there. Let me that part again. Loud noises. yeah. I've obviously this is just a recording and all that. So my talk instead is about using show command. So basically, we start with you've got a problem. We all have problems. We have a repeatable task that we do all the time. And usually, at least in the case of the stuff that I do, there's a single point of failure. In my case, it's me. In your case, it might be you. You're the only one who does that task. No one else does it for you. So the solution, as we all know, because we're at BridgeConf here, is you automate all of the things. And now, naturally, we do it in PowerShell. So you distribute this PowerShell script to others. And then we hope that they're using it. And then naturally someone profits, which brings us to the almost part of that. Because now we have a new problem. Others don't want to run DOS programs, and you can't make them because it's just futile to try and explain to them that it's not DOS. So you come up with a new solution. We'll create a custom GUI program, which gives us compile time. We're going to have to compile the custom GUI program. We're going to have to add development time. And there's going to be extra complexity because you got GUIs to deal with. And developing GUIs is always fun. And naturally, you get to reinvent the GUI wheel, which, although it might be fun, it doesn't really save you any time, which is what PowerShell is all about. So you might be saying, like, what about Ansible Tower and other things like that? And like, as Rob showed us earlier, Jupyter Notebooks. These things are all great. In the case of Ansible, it gives you a web-based GUI. Credential management can be done behind the scenes. It can give you like role-based access controls, but it adds infrastructure that you need to maintain. And then there's an increased barrier to entry because you have to build up infrastructure. You have to install the various tools. If it's Jupyter Notebooks, you might need to install a Jupyter Notebook server somewhere. So what I've come up with is what I refer to as the real solution. And I encountered this because years ago, about 2 years ago, I was in a meeting and one of our other admins was opened up something in Visual Studio Code, or not Visual Studio Code. He opened it in ISE, and I asked him why it wasn't Visual Studio Code. And that's where he introduced me to show command, which is a pane in the ISE, which will, which shows you the command and whatnot. So the real solution is show command. It enumerates all of your parameters from your PowerShell script and presents them to you, so you just fill them in. Yeah, yes, Adele. Something came out of a meeting. It is actually where I got my start on contributing to the VS Code PowerShell extension, because someone said he felt something was missing, and I've been working on adding that ever since, because I let people talk me into random things. So we use show command. In my case, I use a launch script so that my end users can just double click a file and it will launch the script, and they don't have to like right click or anything like that. In this case, they do start using it, and there actually is profit to come out of it, because it saves more than just me time, because I'm able to give it to other people, and it saves escalating tickets and all that fun stuff. And so now, kind of going to give a demo, I think, if I can figure out how this thing works. So this is, as I said, we have a launch script. I just create this CMD file that runs PowerShell, sets the execution policy to bypass, tells it to use no profile, and sets the file to the name and the path to the CMD file, and renames it to PS1. And so, as we all know, of course, I started typing this out this morning and apparently forgot. So let me push that off the screen. So we have our function. The one that I use at work is called new phone, and it takes parameters. I'm so used to writing in VS Code that I don't know what half of this command is. And so this one takes in a pattern and a map, and then it takes a validate set for what type of phone. And I'm just going to kind of cheat and copy paste this part. And then that was nice of it to, whatever. And then in our function, we're gonna write host do things here. And maybe I need to wrap it in quotation marks or it won't like it. And so this gives us our function. And if we select that and just run that, so we have our PowerShell script. We can do new dash phone, and then we get all these parameters. But as I said, our users aren't going to use it because they're not going to really look at, because this is quote unquote DOS. And of course, this is a very basic one, so I didn't even put in defaults. This is kind of where the show command comes in VS Code. Or not VS Code, I'm in ISE. See how much I don't actually work with this thing. We can find our function here, and it can give us kind of a GUI here. And so we can like fill out our things, and then we can hit run, and it runs it, and then everyone's happy. But said most people don't like running into like running in the ISE or in a quote unquote DOS prompt, which is funny because where I work we use like an old Wise 60 emulated point of sale, and everyone's fine using that, but they won't run scripts. So that's where the kind of our controller script came in. As said, it just runs PowerShell and runs the file. But the real trick of this one is in our invoke expression here, because by default show command is just going to run like this. And I think I'm actually going to open Windows Terminal to emulate that part, because the ISE is much different. So if we go into Windows PowerShell, so we have our new function. If I just do show command new phone, then for some reason I was thinking it returned right away, but I think what happens is if we just run it as the file is where it returns right away. I'm hoping that's what it is, because this is totally not what I remember. But I definitely rehearsed this, so I'm a professional. Maybe that's what it is that on Windows 10 it doesn't run it automatically. So what we do is we just invoke expression and we give it the pass-through parameter, which show command new phone pass-through. What that does is it returns that onto the pipeline. So when we invoke that expression, we're then able to we basically just run it. That's why I don't look at chat. So some of the things that show command can give us is shoot, that was not supposed to. If we close this, we have so here I have pattern. It's not currently required, but if I set it to mandatory, and then run this again, and if we go back to doing it here, it would prompt you to fill all that stuff out. And if you miss something, you'd have to start all over. But again, with the show command, show command new phone, it won't actually let you click run until you filled out your full parameters. So we can also it is also aware of so we did a validate set here, which said this is our phone model. It gives us that drop down, which again, if you're coding your own user interface, you're going to have fun maintaining that list. Here, it's just a list of strings. But we can also, it's aware enough. Oh, I don't want string. I want switch. That when you give it parameters, really do the thing. Then when you run it, and actually I'm just going to hit F5. In the future, don't show this message. When you have switch parameters, it knows that it's just a checkbox. Gotta stop hitting escape. Or just leave it up there. And if I recall, and I could be totally wrong on this. I'm realizing now I haven't actually tested this. But if I tell it an integer, some int, no, integer is not actually a PowerShell type. Okay. Is it just int? There we go. See, like I said, I haven't actually tested this part. We're doing it live. Now, which means that okay, for whatever reason, I thought show int or show command was smart enough to know about that. That might be the version that I'm writing for VS Code. So just pretend you didn't see that. Pretend that I totally know what I'm doing. And so some of the other things actually that you can do with show command, and I totally prepared this. If you have show command, one of the things you could do is put all your stuff into a module, and then you'll have your modules there. So like if I do IPMO PS UCM. Okay, never mind. But you can select a module, and then you can select them from there, which would allow your users she has to listen to you. Uh, so you're able to load your parameter or your modules, which if you have your own internal modules, you can load them in here. And it's smart enough that if you have multiple parameter sets, you get the different tabs. And yeah, the battle chicken correct about not using ISE features, which is why this is actually built into PowerShell. Which I really could have sworn that it had a dash module. Again, we can pick any module. Or yeah, we can pick modules to load our commands. Yeah. So the real trick that honestly took me really long to figure out is this invoke expression. So once you have your function that you've been using in your own like PowerShell terminal, basically the trick is just to run it with show command, and then you just give that file to everyone else. And this is why I don't do presentations. Wait, unmute that. Smoke. Oh, and that didn't. No, okay. I'm doing great. Yeah, because the actually, so if we go like this, because the issue I was running into is if I come into a command prompt and remember where it is that I put this. Do I not have? Presentations. So if you try to run it just without the invoke expression, and you fill it out, and then click OK. So why did I have to invoke expression? Because at work, I worked on this for like a week to get that invoke expression part working. Oh, I know why that did that. We save that. Yeah, without the invoke expression, it doesn't actually run it. Which is why we need to tell show command to pass through, and we need to tell invoke express, or then we need to give it to invoke expression. So this is what happens when I forget to comment my code. Yes. This also was taken from like a 100-line or 200-line script and stripped out like most. This feels a lot like Ramen code. Yeah. We could probably do that. Oh, there we go. Press any key. An alternate form of. So I know my talk's supposed to go until. Oh, but another 25 minutes. Oh, good. No, 20 minutes. Bring us in an audio. I totally know how to do that because I'm a pro streamer. And I hit escape again because I'm trying to escape. Audio output capture, Discord. If I unmute comms, Thomas and Adiller should be available if they unmute their mics. Are you on the stream? No, I haven't. Oh wait. Oh, oh. See, this is what I mean. I know exactly what I'm doing. I need to pick this. Yeah, but I also need to unmute you in the stream. Transition. There we go. So now if you talk. There
Hello.
you go.
Hey.
Try this.
Are we available now?
Outgrid.
What? Are you changing my relationship status there, Cory?
What?
Available. You said my status was set to available.
Today?
Yes. Well, it's not a change in that case, but yes.
As actually, that's one of a good point. Justin points out about um, if you after you invoke the expression, if you if you pipe it into something like out grid view, you're able to you then get other goodness like, and I'm just going to use ls because with like out, I'm not in the right terminal window.
Nicely done.
Yeah. When you do out grid view, you get like a nice little another GUI. So you've got show command allows you to accept input to your commands, and then out grid view allows you to. I think you actually still have to use the pass through on that. But then they're able to select a bunch and click OK to return it back into your pipeline. So it's really a 1-2 punch of using show command to show a command to show a user interface, and then out grid view to present multiple at like script runtime parameters.
I gotta just
Instead of
say
output of
that
single mode, they only are able to select one.
I was just gonna say in general, I love this idea of using the built-in commandlets to kind of do the GUI experience, because one of the most painful things that I've ever like done myself in PowerShell is try to build GUIs for scripts
Oh yeah,
in like pure
WinForms stuff.
PowerShell,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I hate it. I hate it, and I didn't like doing it in WPF. I didn't like doing it in XAML. But I do like the idea of, if I've got to do it, doing it with the native commands as much as I can.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool, especially to like enable people to be like, hey, PowerShell's not so scary. Check this out. You can do things.
Yeah, it feels like a good stepping stone for people.
I know people hate on GUIs a lot in the PowerShell community, and I get it. I totally respect it. Like, because we do want to move away from that sort of stuff. But you can't discount the fact that it is an important stepping stone for a lot of users to be like, hey, this is not so scary.
I think people will hate on it because it's so awkward and challenging to do them in PowerShell. Because it's not really what it's for. Like, PowerShell isn't necessarily for making GUIs, but like you have to have some kind of user interface, and yeah, obviously a command line interface is sort of preferred, like, but it's not.
Frontline help desk people are like, that's a great thing. Like, first tier support. Like there's certain ones which will prefer to have like user fillable like little inputs, but other than that, they just want the rest of it automated.
Yeah, or if you're like a busy help desk and you're just trying to get your HR people to run the onboarding script, like those are the kind of things that like scream for separate kind of rudimentary GUIs, right?
Yeah, like this actually all stemmed out of, I spent months creating a GUI with like a tabbed interface in PowerShell for like unlocking accounts, and then I gave it to our service desk and they used it for a couple of months, and then they just kind of stopped using it. I'm like, well, I spent a whole bunch of time creating that.
Yeah. That's actually a really good point you bring up, Cory, because Justin just mentioned in the chat, he said, oh, scripts are both for automation and documentation. A good script is self-documented, documenting of the tasks and procedure, which is a very valid point. The unfortunate reality is users don't read. They don't.
Yeah, they definitely don't read source.
Yeah,
they don't.
And this allows you to, you've got your, like in this case, you've got your new phone function that does its thing, and you do it like I would do it at the prompt. Like at my PowerShell prompt, and just type it in, or I'd put it into some automated pipeline. But to give it to someone else for a one-off, I just pipe it through show command, and now they have a GUI.
Yep. And I mean, the point about Jupyter Notebooks is good that way. It's another way. It's another entry point. But they're all different tools, right?
Yeah, I was gonna say lots of good alternatives being shared in the chat too, and that's totally valid. But this one, like this way, Cory's shared as such low overhead. I really like it for that. Obviously, there's pros and cons to everything, right? But
yeah, for sure. And I think somebody asked in the chat about elaborating about Jupyter Notebooks, and there was a talk about it earlier today. So we can point to that after when the videos are available. So for sure, you can check that out.
Yeah, and because like one of the like big selling points for me on this one was that the like show GUI is or sorry, show command is there on like on all of your end user workstations. If you have Windows 10 or even Windows 8, and maybe Windows 7, I'm not sure if Windows 7 had it with PowerShell 2. Because if you have Windows 7 still, I'm guessing you're probably also still on PowerShell 2. But like if you're on a supported version of Windows, you have by default have show command, so it's already in box. You don't need anything extra.
I feel like also at this point we should probably shout out Adam Driscoll, who's coming up soon with the Universal Dashboard chat, because it seems like Universal Dashboard crew has shown up in the chat quite heavily today.
Yeah,
UD represent.
That Universal Dashboard is actually one of the things on my list to look at, because
for sure. So have you guys checked out Universal Automation, by the way? Super slick. Like I love what Adam's doing over there.
About it.
Yeah, legit. Yeah. He's so prolific. It's amazing.
It's funny, there was a Twitter thread the other day about Adam, and it was like the most aggressive compliments possible. It's just like, oh, I hate that guy. He's so talented.
I mean, and to top it all off, he has like the best dog in the world. Like his dog has a Twitter feed. I mean, if you guys aren't following Austin Driscoll, you're missing out. Right? Did that end the chat right there? Did we?
Yeah, that's all I can. Actually,
nobody.
I'm more of a cat person.
Twitch is all about cats. Yeah.
Yes, I think. Speaking of Twitch, Thomas is twitching right now at my mention of dogs again because his cats are getting antsy.
I love dogs too. I had a dog. Well, his first pet ever was a hamster, but then we had a dog. And it wasn't until I was all grown up that I discovered the joy of cats.
Fair enough. Well, cats represent hard on Twitter.
And now every time I do a demo, I do my best to work in cat facts, because I think that's just the best API in the world.
What you're telling me is that instead of new phone, it should have been get cat facts.
I mean, if I was doing it, it would have been. But I think it's everybody. It's important for everyone to have their own brand. So
yeah,
you picked phones.
Thomas is like the cat facts area is taken. He's like, everybody takes it ready.
I've now done. I was scheduled to do the VS Code extension session at PowerShell Summit, and that was going to be the tipping point between the number of times I've gone to PowerShell Summit and talked about a language other than PowerShell. But last year I did compile commands in C#, and I did a catfax thing, and then the VS Code extension was also a catfax thing. So I was already trying to figure out what I might do next year that involved building a catfax extension or commandlet or module or something.
Okay, so I'm gonna have to call you out here for a sec here, Tom, because I feel like there's a story behind the catfax thing. Because I heard from Stevie that Stevie Coaster was the one that recommended catfax as an API to you originally.
He absolutely did. Yeah, I don't hide that at all.
Okay. All right, fair enough. We should give him some credit then, because we did cut him off earlier.
Did he get cut off?
What's this wee stuff?
Yeah. Okay. Sorry, I did cut him off. Sorry.
Adil called for him to be cut off. So I just did
it's unfair to everybody else. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
Adil put on a very angry face and furrowed his brow and made a chopping motion across his neck and then mouthed the word Stevie.
Because I'm so mean.
225 guy backed out.
Oh yeah, who's the 225 guy, Cory?
I have no idea.
Yeah,
some guy who streams on Twitch but has no idea what he's talking about.
Yeah, we've officially gone off topic now. This is great. I like it.
Yeah,
I enjoy it. This is what the transitions are about, right?
Well, and this is truly like Bridge Conf, because this is what would happen in Bridge.
Exactly. This is like, you come for the PowerShell, you stay for the banter. Yeah. the jabs
To be
back
fair,
and
we
forth.
get what
Right?
we paid for.
Bridge after dark. Some people, if you haven't showed up PowerShell Slack and show up in Bridge after dark, and we usually mean by that like the weekends, like weekend evenings, like Friday night is when it starts. So people show up in Bridge and they start drinking, and all bets are off.
That's a really awesome thing to solicit.
Yeah. Bridge for life, man. Bridge for life. The chat is going pretty fast here. I'm trying to read it.
People like nonsense.
Nonsense, exactly. Yeah, good.
Yeah.
There you go. PowerShell Michael said it's got pretty messed up. It does get pretty messed up. Especially if Romero123 is in the chat. Oh god.
126.
I never remember that.
If you see Romero
wrong.
123, then you know something's wrong.
So just for reference, we are still at 190, over 190 viewers for a stream that has streamed one time for 7 hours.
Corey is infinitely annoyed about it because Corey has been streaming for
I've
years.
been streaming for like 3 years, 2 or 3 years. I have less followers than BridgeConf has.
In one day.
My best stream was like 12 people.
And that's kind of a testament to how the community, I think, is sort of itching for events right now. Like, I think it's been awesome to see so many virtual events in general. Like, I've seen events for security and for like people who write different languages and do different things and use different systems and all kinds of things. But we hadn't really seen anything for the PowerShell community, and especially like stuff that really excited the folks who hang out in the PowerShell Discord and Slack. And that was sort of the genesis of BridgeConf. Was the writing was on the wall for the PowerShell and DevOps Global Summit. I can't remember if it had been officially canceled or not by the time Adil and I started talking about this with Cory. But
when you brought me into it, it was officially canceled.
Yeah, it was pretty
like 3
officially
weeks
canceled.
Ago.
Yeah,
right.
I think that was when this started.
We're kind of going like, well, when would we have it? And because you don't want to schedule it like 3 months out, because what happens if we're all back at work and we can't take a full day to do this? Well, hey, you know when everyone's probably going to be free? That week we were all going to be at PowerShell and DevOps Summit.
Yeah, exactly. And that's kind of like it is trying to like, I mean, it in a very small step of a way trying to fill that void, because we all are friends, PowerShell friends. We like to hang out, and that's something we look forward to as we all talk about with PowerShell Summit is hallway track, right? Hallway track is one of the biggest reasons you go.
Yeah, like it's
scratching
a little bit of the socialization itch, but it's putting a pretty big dent in my I'm missing the sessions itch, so that's good.
That's true. Yeah. Hey, but do you want to explain hallway track, Thomas? You're good at it.
How we what?
Do you want to explain hallway track to those people who have?
Oh, hallway track. Yeah, that's what happens when there's like so many good sessions happening at once, and you feel really bad picking one over the other. But you know they're all going to be recorded, so you don't go to any of them, and you hang out in the hallway and talk to the people at the conference instead, because you realize that those hallway conversations are ephemeral and they're not documented, and you can't have them anywhere else like you'd have them in real life at the conference. And so you put a lot of you depend very heavily on the recordings and make those connections and do your networking and exchange secrets with people face to face.
I can see Grateful Dead Ops is writing hallway track and the Marriott Lobby Bar. Yeah, those are two big spots. I think Grateful Dead Ops is Jim. Is that Jim?
Is it? Yeah, there's definitely a hallway by that lobby bar.
There is, yeah. Oh God, many in libation were consumed. In fact, the oft-mentioned the app is responsible for a lot of that.
It is Jim.
It is Jim. There you go. Hey, Jim. Coming from East Coast. And then we've got Josh, of course, still hanging in from New Zealand.
Yeah. Well, it's a reasonable time for him to be awake now, so there's no excuse for him to leave now.
Yeah. Now you're pot committed, Josh. You're not going anywhere. Rock on.
He's gonna get to the end and it's gonna be like 10 a.m. He's like, "Okay, I'm dead." Done. See y'all tomorrow.
DED dead. Yeah. Yikes. So hey, can we get a cat update? Speaking of cats, Thomas, how are the cats doing? I know they
They're
control
good.
your household.
Yeah, not a ton has changed for them. They're not outdoor cats.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually kind of like us being home. They're not like the stereotypical cats that don't like people or anything like. There's one sitting. I guess she's asleep right next to me, and there's another one downstairs somewhere asleep next to my wife.
Oh, nice. You mean your wife is asleep next to them? Like you don't really. They run the household, dude. You're just a guest there.
When they start paying bills, then we'll start
Renegotiate.
renegotiating.
Yeah. So two people I want to call out real quick while we have them around. So one, of course, is our very dutiful moderator in the chat. So Stephen Judd, aka Judd Missile, is doing a great job of bringing those comments and questions into the Q&A and keeping the chat lively and organized. So thank you, Stephen. You guys know? Nobody's gonna say anything? Come on.
Oh, you're
Yes,
doing
thank
such a
you,
good
Steve.
job. I was like, yeah,
Oh
keep going.
gosh!
Keep
All
talking
right,
about
fine.
Steven.
Okay, I'll keep going. The other guy I want to shout out, of course, is Rambling Cookie Monster. He's been floating around the chat, so it's nice to see Warren there. I know he makes me think of Summit every time I see him. And all
Yeah,
his
that's kind of a bittersweet one.
yeah, but he's amazing. Check out his repos. He taught me so much just from his blog and other things. So
Yeah, I steal tons of his work. It's awesome.
Oh, hey, and somebody said, "Is that Brandon?" Brandon said, "Hi, Warren." Brandon.
That's really kind of the funny thing about live events. Like, it happened to me for the first time at an MVP Summit event, and it happens to me every time at PowerShell Summit. You start looking around rooms and going, "Oh, I've used their work. I've used their work. Oh yeah, I plagiarized.
Yeah.
Well, not plagiarized, but you copy pasted code directly out of your blog,
I pilfered from
etc."
it. Yeah.
Liberated.
Yeah, borrowed. And it's kind of a surreal experience to get to kind of connect with folks and like you look around some of those rooms and you go, wow, that's a lot of talent. But the other cool thing is everybody's so incredibly approachable, both in person and online too. There's not a lot of ego floating around or any kind of hierarchy happening at all. There's some folks who create a little bit of attention, and lots of people are excited to see them. But everybody, including those people, are super excited to talk to anybody and everybody who wants to talk to them.
It's funny. For a period of time there, I was quiet, and don't worry, guys, it wasn't because I just started to go quiet. It's because my headset died. So it's the only way to shut me up in a lot of cases.
I figured Cory was just rolling your volume slider slowly down.
Being like, guys, we gotta move on. Yeah. It's so nice though, just to see everybody show up and chat and say hello, because it's like we do miss everyone, and it's sort of such a bummer that we're not seeing everybody, but at the same time, it's sort of like we're hanging out still.
Exactly. Oh, and a message in the chat. We got to shout out congratulations to Michael Lombardi on your upcoming new arrival.
Yeah, that's a big one.
Definitely.
He's gonna be busy, very busy soon. Yeah.
Yeah, not like he is now, where he just kind of slacks off all day, and hopefully none of his management is listening.
Yeah, he's. It's not like he puts in 14-hour days every day, trying to finish up stuff before he goes on paternity. Yeah, it's getting close now, eh, Michael? Fingers crossed. There you go. See, everybody. I can see Bill's in there. Bill's doing the plus because he's part of the
Michael says,
crew.
"You have a BIM bombs." I have absolutely no idea what that means, and I hope it's not a swear.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, this is an Australian thing for sure.
Yeah, far too Canadian to understand.
Yeah,
Aussie slang. You think it would be just like general Commonwealth slang, but it's not.
I'm sorry, eh? No idea. Oh, Bim's Bombs is my nickname for my. Okay. Cool.
Okay, so not a swear.
Not a swear, just an internal thing. Yeah. Well,
It's only
I
a
have
swear if
changed
she does something that you get angry at her for.
exactly. Yeah, works for me. So I saw a couple times in the chat that people are saying having hydrating, as the screen says, but hydrating in other manners. Is anybody raising any glasses? It must be like 5 p.m. somewhere, right?
Yeah, Michael Lombardi was saying his team is all in the EU, and he got them to agree that happy hour starts for everyone when it starts for anyone. So that's the benefit of working for a distributed team.
Oh yeah, beer o'clock all the time. I like
half of my team is in India, which the time zone from them to me is basically AM and PM flipped. They're
Yeah.
either 12 or 13 hours ahead, depending on daylight savings.
Mhm.
So it works out great for
Always.
happy hour.
Because it's happy hour somewhere. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just
Speaking
like
of
referring
happy
to
hour,
everything as rum o'clock because it sounds like 1
rum o'clock.
o'clock, but
True.
it's rum.
Very simple. But rum at 1 o'clock, but with rum. I will say though, honestly, all this talk of happy hour is it is a bummer because it's like I miss going out to places, man. It's been hard with this, with it is for everybody, but more so when you're actually just by yourself. Having that social aspect. That's partly why we do the power hour thing and the other things is because I'm just going stir crazy in my house here.
Judd says, yeah, India's at the half hour time zone. Yeah, and it goes back and forth depending on daylight savings too. It makes it really inconsistent.
Yeah.
I have a widget on the home screen of my phone that just
Mhm.
has the Hyderabad time zone
Mhm. Mhm.
because I
So
got tired of doing math.
I'm officially from originally from Pakistan, and that's my mom and my sister live there still, and that's exactly on the 12-hour time zone, depending on the daylight savings. But it's nice and easy to do the math because it's just like AM PM.
Yeah, when I said the AM PM just flips, that was basically me letting slip how lazy I am about doing the math.
So meet at like 2 o'clock, or maybe it's 3 o'clock, or 1 o'clock for
Or
you.
you just
Whatever.
start giving
Yeah.
them
Yeah.
Pacific time, and then let them do it.
Hmm.
We'll just send
I've
Stephen,
seen
them
that a lot.
a calendar invite and let Outlook do the work.
that's true. Yeah. No.
Yeah,
Well,
sorry about that 3 a.m. meeting.
Oh gosh, yeah, no, definitely having a team in a lot of different time zones can be challenging for me because I have my Google Calendar set up with multiple time zones on the side just to reference any time that I'm booking anything because I have to make sure that people are not outside of their acceptable work hours. So it's a little bit of a challenge sometimes, but we definitely make it work when we can. Stephen
You
Judd
guys
is
just
in
have
here.
to you just
Yeah.
have to start blocking your calendars with events called in sobriety or something.
Ah, yes. I think I do. It's called Power Hour, or sorry, Power Lunch. And happy hour, other things. There's a lot of cool events going on, so it's kind of tough because you have to pick and choose times a little bit.
Yeah, I'm really pleased with all of the different stuff that the community is doing, and all the there's lots of different PowerShell streamers. You know what? This might be a good time because we still have another 5 minutes before Adam to shout out the Mark Krause put a thing together.
PowerShell Live.
Yeah, PowerShell Live, and it's a group of folks who Cory knows more and should probably talk about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, so PowerShell Live is a Twitch channel and a Twitter bot that tweets when some of us in the PowerShell community go live on Twitch when we're streaming, and it will automatically host the people on that list as well if it's not hosting anyone else at the time. Dill's got the link there, and so if you
I
go
like
there,
that. I'm
sorry,
a fan of that logo. Yeah.
yeah. If you go there, if there's someone in the PowerShell community that's streaming that is on the list, they'll show up as a hosted, and then you can just jump over to their stream from there, or you can follow it on Twitter and get notifications when things go live. It also messages the streaming channel in Discord and Slack with when they go live. So.
Yeah,
Lots
and
of places.
sometimes it tweets 3 times.
Yes, it often
Yep.
tweets 3 times.
Sometimes
Yeah.
it tweets 3 times. Sometimes it's only 2. Other times it's 7. It's really consistent.
In honor of Mike Lombardi, we do have to shout out PowerShell Conference Book again. He wasn't here earlier, so we will put that plug in for PowerShell Conference Book. I'll put in the links again, Michael, for sure.
Well, now we're in the real break now that we said we were going to talk about it.
Okay.